There was a time when VH1 was the go-to place for music fans. Legendary interviews, high-quality documentaries, and deep dives you could only find on the channel. But now in just the last decade, VH1 has lost 25% of its total audience, more than 30 million households. So to understand how a network could fall this hard, we have to go back in time to where it all started. VH1 stands for Video Hits 1, and the channel launched as a sister company for MTV back in 1985.
Today there's VH1, Video Hits 1. Finally, your music has come to television.
Now, they aim their music content towards a slightly older demographic, the opposite of MTV, who was playing to the youth. But these early years were a struggle for VH1. The network wasn't hitting viewership goals and had difficulty retaining an audience. Although, the channel wasn't scared to experiment and began airing a lot of different things. Blocks dedicated to entire genres, 2-hour music video marathons, and even artist profiles breaking down their careers. However, one show stood out amongst the rest called New Visions. This had a musical guest do an in-studio performance, while also sometimes being the host for the evening. Anthony Phillips, the original guitarist for Genesis, was a nice highlight.
I've actually just dropped in here today to recommend that on no account should any of you go out and buy Slow Waves, Soft Stars, the new LP by Anthony Phillips. This album is actually, apparently, I've been told, an old age album in that it's quiet and reflective. But anyway, don't go out and buy this, and don't go anywhere at the moment. Stay tuned to New Visions VH1.
The show was a standout amongst their catalog, but still nothing compared to MTV's biggest hits at the time. And it wouldn't be until 1989 that VH1 would have a major breakthrough. My Generation was their first successful original, and it was hosted by Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits, which gave it instant credibility. It featured artists from the 1960s who shared stories about the band you couldn't hear anywhere else.
Now, the video which we did for We Will Rock You was shot just in a couple of hours in our drummer Roger Taylor's garden, so if you look very carefully you'll see us all freezing to death because it was really, really cold.
The show had cemented the network's place on cable television. MTV was focused on the youth, but VH1 had this more mature twist, and it was working. Now, despite all the success, the network didn't continue to innovate, and over the next few years My Generation's viewership would decline. But as we've learned before, VH1 isn't scared to experiment, so they immediately went back to the drawing board. It's here where they decide on their next marketing campaign, a decision that would make them one of the most loved music channels in the world.
VH1 Video Hits 1, Hits 1, Hits 1, Hits 1.
VH1's mainstream explosion happened in 1994. All of this because of a campaign called VH1 Music First, which promised fans the network would commit to music-centric programming. Little did we know how far they'd fall. But for now, this was the birth of a new era, and they had everyone's attention. It started with the launch of VH1's Top 10 Countdown, which wasn't particularly special, but became a cult classic when it came to ranking music videos. Not long after, Pop-Up Video aired. It was music videos everyone had watched, but with trivia facts offering fans a cool look into behind the scenes. If you were now gonna leave a channel on in the background for music videos, why not choose the one that gave you cool facts? One of the underrated gems from this era was VH1 Storytellers. It featured artists in an intimate setting, sharing personal stories about their life and music. The show offered a deep connection with the artist and was an instant hit for the network. But by far the biggest standout came in 1997 with Behind the Music. This was an in-depth documentary series that explored the personal lives of famous musicians.
It was total nudity. Girls were taking showers on the stage during the sets.
I think even when, we didn't go out and whoop it up, we always had something going on, like a card game or something happening. Of course, there'd have to be a few go-go girls around while we played cards, or dancing for us while we played, of course.
It was something never really seen on TV before, and they pulled some massive names. Judas Priest, Elton John, Journey, Guns N' Roses, and way too many more to name. The show was seriously quality, and one of the best reoccurring music documentaries to ever air. And from here, VH1 didn't slow down. The show Legends did documentary-style deep dives, Where Are They Now caught up with bands from the past, and Divas Live had an insane lineup of talent. The first episode alone had Aretha Franklin, Gloria Estefan, Carole King, Celine Dion, Shania Twain, and Mariah Carey. All of these shows were successful, viewership was booming, and the network had finally captured that magic that they had worked so hard for. But VH1 still wanted more. By the early 2000s, the network had built a great foundation for music programming, but their most popular series were losing steam. However, as we've seen, VH1 doesn't like slowing down and immediately revamped their catalog, this time starting with multiple new shows. One being I Love the 80s, which took a nostalgic look back at the era.
Because you love the 80s. Because you still wear your collar up. Admit it.
I did do that.
This is 1980.
Now, the program was really well received, but also our first glimpse at the network moving away from music. While the show did cover it, it also dove into movies and cultural trends from the time. Next up in 2004, we'd get Best Week Ever, a show that provided a funny recap of current pop culture events, all while being told by a panel of comedians.
So this year started off with a bang. Or should I say a boob?
Flashed her breast, calling it wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, you nasty boys.
Wardrobe just don't malfunction, man. You just don't have wardrobe malfunction. Okay, can we go to break?
Again, the show wasn't solely music focused, but it was pulling insane viewership. It was also some of the earliest TV appearances for comedians like Nick Kroll and John Mulaney.
Spencer, you don't have to like the people you watch have sex. It's not like guys flip through Hustler going, hey, she seems cool. Yeah, you know, chill, like she gets it.
The network had found a new formula, pop culture and celebrities. And it was at this moment we'd see a new VH1 take form. One that moved away from a commitment to music-centric programming to anything that would bring in viewers, thus starting the reality TV era. Now, our first glimpse would come with 2003's The Surreal Life, a series that had celebs from all around the world live with each other in a single house. The first season had some big names like Vince Neil of Motley Crue and MC Hammer, while also being extremely polarizing and often capturing real moments on camera.
What was a brick in your life? The brick was the death of my daughter. She was 4 years old, a daughter of cancer. You know, and something took her that I had no control of. You know, fathers are there to protect their children. And when you're not there to protect your kid and you have no way to protect them, that's the worst thing in the world.
While The Surreal Life's format was a hit, it didn't take the world by storm like Flavor of Love.
Now the reason why I pick these hot tubs is because you know your man Flavor Flav wants to see what these girls are working with.
In 2006, they dropped a reality show with Flava Flav where a bunch of women would compete for a chance to be with him.
And if I'm here for him and you're here for him too, you better watch out, because it will be a fight to the end. I will not give up. I will not go away. I'm here to stay.
The show spawned memes, spin-offs, had a great viewership, and what's considered by many to be a cultural phenomenon. So naturally, they followed the success with Bret Michaels' Rock of Love.
Rock and roll is my one big love. Basically, what I'm trying to say is rock and roll is an insatiable bitch goddess, but I love her, and I'm just looking for that one woman in my life to participate in that threesome.
Another ridiculous show with the same premise as Flav's, except this time the women competed for Poison's lead singer. And I'm not sure how this was possible, but they somehow made this one even more cringe.
Yeah, Magdalena had the most cleanly shaven, smooth, hot legs run all the way up to her ass. It was wonderful and beautiful. I'm sitting on the couch, and I gotta be straight with you, I cannot keep my eyes off her breasts.
The shows were so far disconnected from their original statement, yet they were bringing in the most viewership the network had ever seen. But even with those high numbers, they had a disappointed loyal fan base. One that was getting loud about how shitty the network had turned, and it wasn't just the fans, it was also critics. Not only was this new programming being criticized, it was also being called out for being fake and unethical. Accusations of staged scenarios, scripted content, and misleading edits all came to light. Now, VH1 ignored most of this criticism, but then in 2009, something happened so horrible, it made news across the country. After airing only 3 episodes of Megan Wants a Millionaire, the show was canceled. Ryan Jenkins, a former participant, had just been charged with the murder of his wife.
A reality TV show contestant is being sought in connection with the murder of a missing model. Police say someone killed 28-year-old Jasmine Fiore and stuffed her body in a suitcase, then left it in a dumpster in the Buena Park area. Authorities say she had been strangled. 32-year-old real estate developer Ryan Jenkins is described as a person of interest in this case. He appeared on the reality TV show Megan Wants a Millionaire.
At this same time, VH1 also pulled I Love Money 3, another show they allowed Jenkins to be a part of. This was more than a PR nightmare, it shook the reality TV industry. The event went on to raise significant concerns about the vetting process and the ethical responsibility behind these productions. Accusations of faking shows, a story about murder, this new buzz was gaining a lot of negative publicity. As more hate for VH1 came in, so did less viewership, a decline that would slowly lead the network to panic. In 2010, VH1 announced new plans to produce 44 original series. They felt like they had disconnected from their audience, so this new catalog would find a blend between reality and music. Now, fans were already skeptical, but we had no idea how fast they'd mess things up. Just a couple months after this announcement, the network would cancel 90% of their music video blocks. The multi-decade-old tradition of running music videos had its time slots replaced by reruns of reality TV. This was basically a slap in the face to longtime fans, yet somehow things got worse. In 2015, they ended the Top 20 Countdown, a spin-off of the Top 10 Countdown that helped establish the network in the first place. And only a year after this, the final nail in the coffin was hammered in.
Classic. Monday, August 1st, VH1 Classic becomes MTV Classic.
Yeah, out of nowhere they took VH1 Classic and merged it into MTV Classic, hoping to recapture viewers with nostalgia. While it didn't seem like a horrible idea at first, shows like Daria and Beavis and Butthead took over time slots. These would replace documentaries, classic music videos, and the last remnants of the channel's music history. While VH1 failed to reclaim its roots, I will say Love and Hip Hop has been a pretty good balance between music and reality. A step in the right direction, but with the rest of the catalog being lackluster, even a great show can't save the decline in viewership. The channel's evolution reflects the trends of the time, but it also serves as a cautionary tale about how abandoning your mission can destroy your audience. They lost music first, and I guess we should have seen that coming a long time ago when they quietly removed it from the logo in 2003.